Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know specifically about AMC stock and our broader markets today. Something very interesting is happening, and I think you need to be aware of it. And it is very bullish. I will tell you that right off the start. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. This is now the third day in a row AMC stock has been green. Today AMC stock is up about 5%. Now, there's no specific news today. I did in the last video, the price prediction video that always comes out every single Sunday, I talked about this. I think AMC stock can continue to rise here as long as nothing crazy comes out of left field and knocks the stock down. That would be like a move from Adam Aaron, right? Diluting shareholders, something along those lines. That's not my expectation. So I would say I still strongly expect AMC stock will continue higher from here for really a couple different reasons. You were so oversold for a long time, the RSI went positive, and now you're at neutral. So the last couple of days, that was a 10% green day on Feb 6. You fell about 3% the next day after, but followed by a 4% gain, a 7% gain, and now a 5% gain today. You're just now back to neutral. So you could rally to 70 potentially. And sometimes AMC can go higher than 70 on the RSI, but yeah, definitely still have some room to rally here. Now, what you're actually seeing today, though, is a massive outperformance of the Russell 2000. Now, the Russell's been doing a little bit better here as of lately anyways. The last 3 days have been a 1.52% gain, 1.63% gain, and today a 1.91% gain at the time of recording this video. This could be a sign that inflation is going to come in better than expected tomorrow. Now, specifically what I'm looking at here on the Russell is this. Take a look at this beautiful textbook trend line, right? The Russell kind of was gapping up, going higher, hit a peak here at about 205, came down to about 187, but you really held the 190s for the most part. You were briefly under 190 for IWM. You held this on a double bottom, and now, look, you're going higher. And almost have an inverse head and shoulders as well right here. So pretty interesting. I do think IWM could rally quite aggressively if inflation comes in lower than expected tomorrow. And I think AMC stock would greatly benefit from that. Now, I will go over my expectations for CPI tomorrow and what I think will happen to the markets, all of that in the next video. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. But nonetheless, AMC stock is at $4.59 per share today. It is a great day. Now, what's also happening today is the short interest is continuing to rise. Now, AMC went from about 7% short interest. That does not get anyone excited, okay? 7% short interest is like, why are we even wasting our time? For some people that will look at this trade, right? For you and we probably think the short interest is higher. I think the short interest is 200+%. You might think it's, wherever you think it is. But when other individuals that are not a part of this trade or have not been a part of this trade for a long time, they look at AMC, they're looking at the short interest right here, and they're saying, hey, is this stock able to run? And it's going higher basically each and every single day. Now, I think it's kind of this effect of, a massive short position. Some of those positions, a small portion of them, are leaking out, if you will, right? They're not being accounted for in terms of like option activity, right? Because what I think has been happening this whole time is hedge funds and institutions have been using option activity to hide some of the short positions. I still think they're doing that, but I do think some of them are just not being accounted for. Imagine if you need to buy, 100 options to cover your, $1 million short position or million share short position, whatever it is. If you only buy 99 and you mess up, some of those shares are going to get eked through and end up reported in live short interest data. I mean, that makes sense to me, and maybe that's a weird way to put it, but nonetheless, the short interest is rising. The legal short interest, that is, from about 7% to 12.5%, which I think still doesn't make a whole lot of sense on a risk to reward basis because AMC stock is still at $4.59 per share. I think there is a long way that AMC stock could run here, at least a double up before it would even make sense to start shorting AMC again. And then, I mean, hopefully Adam Aron gives us some good news and says, hey, we're not going to dilute shareholders anymore. And that would be really, really good for AMC stock. But nonetheless, let's run through some of this data here and what's going on with the broader markets today. So like I said, 12.47% short interest of free float, $136.85 million worth of short positions, days to cover 1.7, 31.24 million shares that are currently sold short, 34.28 million shares currently out on loan, 1.05% cost to borrow, utilization of 50.27%, and a short score of 64.2 out of 100. If you take a look at the cost to borrow fees down here, about 1.9% for the cost to borrow max, cost to borrow average at about 1.12%. So really, I mean, not a lot of shorting activity today from what I can see in the cost to borrow fees, which is, I mean, perversely a bullish thing. If people don't want to short the stock, or they're not rushing in to short the stock, that's typically a good thing. So remember that. Now, from hedge funds and institutions, you have only seen one trade so far today for June 21st, a $4 call worth about $72,000. Now, to the call side today, you have volume of 78%. To the put side, you have volume of about 22%. Open interest on the call side, 70.5%, and open interest on the put side, about 29.5%. So some very strong numbers you are seeing in the land of options for AMC as well. Now, let's take a look at stock twits and what's going on here. Now, typically over the weekend, but especially over the, Super Bowl Sunday weekend, you tend to see a lot less people talking about AMC. You tend to see less people, bullish overall. Seems like your bears like to come out over the weekend. So the numbers yesterday were very low. Today, it's not the case, and that's what I expected. Now, your numbers yesterday were not that low. Like bullish, the sentiment was 74, so that's very bullish. So that's really good sentiment. But today it's 86, just to show you guys that kind of disparity between the weekend and a weekday. Message volume, I think this really shows it as well. Yesterday was at 9, so extremely low. Look at today, this morning, it's at 41. Which is still low, but it's a lot better than where it was yesterday. So more people talking about AMC, and the participation ratio is at 51. That is categorized as neutral or normal. Now, why is this so exciting? Well, the participation ratio measures the number of unique accounts posting on a stream relative to the number of total messages on that stream. This is a big reason why I think AMC stock can fly from here, and you may be only a small portion through a potential upside move. If you start to get more people talking about AMC, that's a great thing, because participation ratio, think about it like this. If you have 10 people, 10 different accounts that are posting one message a piece, okay, fine. If you have one account that's posting 10 messages, you're going to have a very low participation ratio, okay? It's just telling you how many accounts are talking about AMC. Presumably, if more accounts are talking about AMC, more people are looking at AMC, more people are potentially getting into AMC, or at least keeping AMC on their radar. So this is one of the most important things that I watch for on a day-by-day basis for AMC stock. So keep that in mind. Now, nonetheless, if we take a look at the Stock O tracker data, we do have a lot of option activity here in the money. To the call side, about 45,000 calls now in the money. That's a lot. Calls out the money, about 74,000. That's still a lot of dry powder as well. Puts in the money, about 14,500. Puts out the money, about 35,000. So a lot of potential buying pressure could still come in from the option activity. Now, that's basically your gist of what's going on with AMC today. Now, if we take a look at the broader markets, just take a look at this. Russell 2000 is up it says here the IWM is going to be a little bit different, but the Russell 2000 is up 1.77%. The NASDAQ up 0.42%, and the S&P is up 0.36%. The Dow is up 0.5%. So a little bit of a move towards defensives today with the Dow, but the Russell in full on risk on mode, which is interesting. Check this out, because all the indexes are green, right? The Russell's outperforming, so that's risk on, but the VIX is up 5% today. Now, this is in anticipation of the CPI report tomorrow. So what's happening here? Well, you can make an argument that some people are bullish on the Russell for tomorrow's CPI report. Some people are a little bit fearful in the markets. But you could take it a little bit step further here. Because if you look at the S&P 500 for an example, that's how the VIX is calculated, right? If there's more puts being bought on the S&P than calls, the VIX goes higher. If there's more calls being bought on the S&P than puts, the VIX goes lower or stays the same. So there's more puts being bought today on the S&P 500. Now, you could make an argument that if inflation comes down faster than expected tomorrow, big tech's not going to benefit, right? Nvidia's really not going to benefit. Microsoft's not going to benefit. Apple's not going to benefit. So, I mean, those stocks in theory could actually sell off, and the Russell could outperform tomorrow, which you could actually see the S&P 500 go down tomorrow on a good CPI report because they've ran so much, and it's kind of been the defensive area to be in if we get hotter than expected inflation, another surge in inflation, if the Fed does not cut rates, if the economy heads into a recession. It's kind of been the hideout, right? Big tech. You could see an exodus of the hideout tomorrow, which could negatively affect the S&P and the NASDAQ on the ETF headline basis, which would make sense to buy some puts, and you'd see the VIX up today. But then see the Russell 2000 outperform. So very interesting dynamic that we're seeing right here. It's actually pretty rare that you see the VIX up 5% and the Russell up, over 1%. Pretty dang rare. It looks like people are definitely pretty bullish though on small cap stocks, which is a good thing for most of us. Now, the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average is up about 6% as well today. You're now trading with 60.3% of stocks above their 50-day moving average. That's actually really, really good. That's more of a normal range. So now I wouldn't say stocks are, super suppressed here on a relative basis, right? But you're still lower than where you were recently at about 86, but not as low as 45. I mean, where you just were like a week ago, right? So things have gotten a little bit better of breadth today in our markets, but still not exactly where we would want to see things, just given, how little the broad markets have actually participated. It's really all been big tech. Now, a slight factor that is also playing a role in today that is causing this bullish effect on the Russell is your 10-year treasury yields dropping about 2.5 basis points, but I think that's really just in anticipation of what that CPI report could look like coming tomorrow. 10 and 2-year yield curve inversion is not moving at all, still inverted about 31 basis points. So there is that. Again, just a brief look at AMC. AMC is now almost up 6%, trading at $4.62 per share. I think your resistance is going to come in about $5.38 per share, right here where your 50-day moving average is. I would expect to get some resistance there. By then, I think the RSI is probably going to be around 70, so you're probably going to be close to overbought if we do get to that by the end of this week. I mean, that's still what on a percentage gain, that's still 16% gain from here. So that would still be, quite a move if we could get there by the end of this week. But honestly, if tomorrow's CPI report's better than expected, you could be looking at an over 10% gainer, in my opinion, for AMC stock coming tomorrow. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.